For years and years, CPAC was a domestic political event. Conservative luminaries, aspiring conservatives came to deliver remarks at that annual convention here in Washington. This year, as in a couple of years past, many leaders from other parts of the world have come to appear. And this is the largest, I think, collection. We've got conservative leaders from the UK, Spain, Poland, Italy, and many others appearing at this event to burnish their image and their messaging. One of them, the political director and advisor to Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who took the stage with CPAC chair Matt Schlapp yesterday. CBS News chief foreign affairs correspondent and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan sat down with him earlier today. They began by talking about the growing alliance between conservatives here and in Hungary.
CPAC is playing a very important role. It's growing, and this movement could identify some topics where we share concerns, like in connection with the future of the Western civilization, like migration, gender issues, role of Christianity, and so on and so on.
There was a bit of a scandal. Today, the president of the French far-right party national rally, Jordan Bardella, said he's going to cancel his speech at CPAC after a gesture alluding to Nazi ideology, he said, was made. That seems to be a reference to what Steve Bannon did when he took the stage. How did you interpret what happened?
Well, in Hungary, and so far as I understood, there is, among the participants, there is zero tolerance on anti-Semitism. This is what I was realizing, and there are some Jewish and Israeli participants also. So I don't see the scandal, honestly.
What did you think Steve Bannon was doing?
I think that if those Jewish participants and Israeli participants are saying that there was nothing anti-Semitic, then most probably there wasn't.
Understood. But if there was, that would be unacceptable.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. Trump ally Steve Bannon has called your boss, Viktor Orban, Trump before Trump. He has become very influential when it comes to the MAGA movement. How do you see Orban and Trump working together? Well,
President Trump is representing the interest of United States, and my Prime Minister represents the interest of Hungary, and we have some shared visions, shared problems we want to solve, and we are ready to cooperate. We mentioned migration, so fighting, pushing back illegal migration. That's a top priority for us as well.
Your Prime Minister has been on social media praising what President Trump has done with USAID, with the international projects that the U.S. supported. Elon Musk, of course, has said USAID must be destroyed. What do you find so threatening about the U.S. projects in Hungary?
No, that's a huge scandal, because American people and American taxpayers' money were used for pushing a liberal progressive ideology. They were financing the opposition directly and indirectly, opposition media, opposition NGOs. And you know, if you're coming from a country which wants to take itself seriously, that you cannot allow that politics is financed by a foreign country. It doesn't matter which country it is. It's a question of sovereignty, whether you are ready to preserve your sovereignty, which means that no foreign funding in politics. And this is what they were doing. And we are very happy that this operation seems to be stopping.
So USAID in 2022 launched a program to strengthen democracy in Hungary. That's what they called it, and civil society. And it included financially supporting independent media in Hungary. That's in part because 85% of the media in your country is under government control.
But it's not true. This is a problem. It was portrayed as it is a kind of a defense for democracy, but in reality, it's just a financial support for those who were opposing the government. because United States previous administration wanted to get rid of the Hungarian government because we were opposing their war policy. We were not on the same side with the migration policy, and they will use that funds to promote the opposition. It's not about democracy. It's always how it is framed, but everybody knows that it's different.
So Reporters Without Borders says that Fidesz, the ruling party that you are part of, controls 80% of the country's media. The State Department, during Donald Trump, estimated approximately 85% of all Hungarian media outlets are under the control of a government-friendly owner.
Yeah, but it's not true.
The Trump administration was wrong about that?
We have a wonderful, probably the deep state was providing this information, false information for the president. So it's like Hungarian language is a unique language. It's a small market, 12 million people. The country itself, it's 10 million. So it's very hard to follow how it's going on. But if you come from Hungary, you follow the Hungarian media environment, it's obvious that the pro-governmental and the anti-governmental or critical voices are very loudly heard. It's much better and healthier environment than in many other Western countries. So this is the reality. Every voice can be heard. In Hungary, the US money was specifically to try to delegitimize the current government. And I think it's unacceptable.
Margaret Brennan joins me here at the table. Margaret, that's quite an accusation from Orban's top political advisor.
It is. It also tracks with things that Vladimir Putin has said. Hungary's government very friendly with the Russian government, but these accusations about what the State Department and USAID have done is interesting because it's characterized as part by Orban of this international conservative movement. And when you hear that there is a connection between ideology and media coverage and that kind of language that they're using there, it deserves further digging in. And that's why I cited back the Reporters Without Borders stats, Committee to Protect Journalists.
The Trump State Department numbers, 85%.
That's right. And so there is this tendency within Hungary, repeatedly under the Orban government, whether it's media or whether it's the university, something that J.D. Vance, the vice president, has praised. Viktor Orban has consolidated control by bringing control of those entities into the arms or boards of groups that his cronies are on. So it may not be directly under control of the state, but it's under control of boards of directors manned by his cronies. And that is whether it's the media or whether it's the universities. So I wanted to dig into this, exactly what the thinking is, because I find this idea that this is a global movement really interesting, particularly when we hear conservative leaders in this country praise Viktor Orban.
And it comes down to a definition of what is free speech and how loudly people can be heard. And if you have 80 to 85% of the media in your country and you're the government and it's generally aligned with you and there are some voices that can be heard, you're probably very happy that voices can be heard. It's all about proportion and definition.
It is. And you're right. I mean, we're having this ongoing debate over what free speech and censorship is and the context of where it's said and how it's said matters, clearly. Viktor Orban also rewrote the Constitution when he came to power. So he has redefined a lot of these things and done so with the judiciary. So I think it deserves a second look when we see some of these international leaders appear at CPAC, whether it's here in Washington or the next conference, major, which is actually going to be in Budapest in May. They are hosting CPAC in Hungary. And so understanding more about what some of these right-wing governments are doing and what is being either mimicked or in some ways looked at for inspiration here, I think deserves some tracking on our part here in the U.S. I know it feels far away, but when you wonder, why is a small country like Hungary getting such a platform at the White House and at Mar-a-Lago? It's some of these conservative ideas. That's how they frame it. But I don't know that conservative is the right word for it. It's some road mapping we need to keep very close attention on. Margaret Brennan, thank you very, very much.